Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. We've got a kick-ass show lined up for you all. We got some baseball and a lot of U.S. Open golf. It starts tomorrow. Adam Trigger will be joining us. He's going to talk the Milwaukee Brewers. And as he writes in the Slack, it's the Brewers against the Brewers. So stay with us. Curious which way he's going to go. The A's are playing the Padres. And Jesse Schule joining us. We got exciting, thrilling, delicious news about Jesse. And he's going to look at the Yankees and Kansas City, as well as the big NBA game going tonight. And we're going to end the show with Nick Borrman and a whole lot of U.S. Open talk. Teddy covers, my brother, my friend. What do you got going in the big game breakdown?
Big game breakdown today. We're going to talk the Pittsburgh Pirates and the St. Louis Cardinals. And, of course, when it comes to what bettors learned, we're going to talk about the Kristaps Porzingis injury and how that's affecting the Game 3 line between the Mavs and the Celtics. So, loaded Wednesday edition. Let's get into it, Prez.
Adam Trigger, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Aside from a typo to start the day, I'm doing great. Can't complain. I've been hot on the bases, 12-2 my last 14, so no complaints here.
That's great, man. 12 wins in your last 14. Wonderful stuff. So let's start with the real interesting game of the Brewers playing the Brewers. Which one of the Brewers is going to win?
Well, they're playing the Blue Jays. I think the Brewers are going to win. This is a client play, so I do have a 5%er up tonight. Hopefully, we're 13-2 going into that because this is a 2 p.m. start. Brewers is a 4% play for me. Press, I think I figured out how to bet your Jays. Well, for or against your Blue Jays. I look and say, am I willing to play against their starting pitcher? And what did Yimi Garcia do the previous day? Because right now, if they don't have Garcia at the back end of a game, that bullpen is in big trouble. The bullpen, Toronto's that is, 4.75 ERA, and their negative 1.2 WAR is the worst in Major League Baseball by a wide margin. But it's not really showing up in the odds right now because the starting pitching has been fantastic for Toronto. The Jays are winning games. They're 10-5 in their last 15 games. Starting pitchers have a 2.52 ERA during that stretch. So they've kind of kept the Jays in it, even in this series. You know, the Jays have only scored 4 runs. They won last night 3-0, thanks to another really good start from a starting pitcher, which brings me to today. Chris Bassett has been great. If you look at his last 4 starts, 3-0, 1.44 ERA during that span. The problem for me is those starts came against the White Sox, Pirates, and A's. That's as bad as you're going to get offensively. The White Sox twice, the A's can't hit anything. We'll talk about them in a little bit. And the Pirates haven't been good offensively either. Prior to that, Bassett, against the Rays, Phillies, Dodgers, Padres, and Royals, 5 previous starts, 5.88 ERA, 17 earned runs across those 5 starts. So I'm not buying Bassett fully yet. I think some of his recent success has had to do with playing some very weak lineups. And, the Brewers got shut out yesterday, guys, but they were very unlucky to not put a single run across the plate. 0 for 12 with runners in scoring position in yesterday's game, a 3-0 loss. And that's uncharacteristic of them. They've been very good at home, specifically offensively over the last month or so. They've won 5 straight series in Milwaukee, going for a 6th straight series win today if they can take the rubber match against the Jays. Tobias Myers is someone I've really liked this year. I had him pegged at Nashville earlier this year when he was in AAA. I thought he would have a really good season. He's up in the big leagues now thanks to some injuries. But his stuff seems to translate. Last week against the Tigers, a game we talked about on first pitch, 8 innings, 1 hit. Phenomenal. Best start of his career so far. So I think if he gives the Brewers a good start, I'll take my chances against the Jays bullpen all day right now. Worst unit in baseball, and I think the Brewers will find a way to win this one late.
So we talked about some of Toronto's offensive struggles of late, but Milwaukee's offensive struggles of late really stand out to me. I mean, they scored 1 run or less in half of their last 8 games. They had another game with 3 and another game with 2 during that span. So when you scored 3 runs or less 6 times in 8 games, you're not talking about a lineup that's clicking on all cylinders right now. Does that concern you here, especially given that you talked about how Bassett is a guy who has faced weak offensive opponents of late? Isn't he facing a weak offensive opponent today?
So 2 reasons I'm not as concerned with that. One, you look at the last 8-game sample. Most of that was on the road against the Phillies and the Tigers. And during that road trip, they faced Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola. Then in Detroit, they had to face Skubal. So the Brewers were facing elite pitching all week long. Now, you could make the argument, yeah, they've come home. 3-1 was the score 2 nights ago. They didn't really hit, but they got the hits when they needed to, I suppose, to win 3-1. And then I just pointed out last night, yeah, they didn't score, but they managed to get 12 guys into scoring position, right? So they had their chances. They just couldn't knock them in. Some of that's luck. Some of that's like variance, right? Like at some point they're going to get a hit with a guy on base, probably score a run. And if you look back the last month, Teddy, their numbers, their splits at home offensively, much, much better than when they're on the road. So I'm willing to play them in their home ballpark. And I think the Jays will find a way to give this one up late, especially with the fact that they asked Yimmy for 4 outs yesterday. That's going to put him in a tough spot late here.
Adam Trigger, I'm going to keep with this game. You mentioned how Milwaukee just came off a run of elite pitchers. Chris Bassett has a 1.6 ERA in his last 5 games with an average of 6 innings pitched. I would consider that elite. I don't see how you're not looking at the under here. It's 9. And we've already discussed, Teddy mentioned, the Brew Crew can't seem to score on a regular basis. And the Jays, well, one of the worst scoring teams in all of baseball. I think the under is the bet.
My only concern with the under is if the Jays get behind, they're going to probably conserve bullpen arms, and the back end of their bullpen is horrific. Like, if they get behind, Bassett gets out of the game. Remember, he threw 8 innings against the A's last week. He's had a couple of really long starts. I'm worried that he might be due for maybe a 5, like a shorter start. Like, I think if he's gone like 7, 8, he's pitching deep into games, and they're trailing. They're going to throw, the dregs of that bullpen, and a 3-run game could turn into 9 or 10 quickly. That's the only thing that puts me off of the under. But otherwise it's hard to disagree.
Adam Trigger joining us, everyone. He's on a 12-2 baseball run. That Milwaukee bet is a 4% play. And now we're going to talk about the A's and the Padres. This is a 4:10 Eastern time game. San Diego, a huge favorite. Total here is low, 7.5. Adam, how do we bet this one?
Yeah, so I picked this game for a couple of reasons. One, I did a video on this game for WagerTalk yesterday where we talked about the under. It hit. It was a 4-3 final. And I still have a lot of thoughts leading into the finale in this series on both side and total. So I'll try to touch on both here. To start with something you said, Prez, like right off the top, I don't know if I can make the Padres a $2 favorite in this game. I don't really have a problem with Michael King. Actually, either starting pitcher, I don't have huge opinions on. But my gut's still telling me that King probably isn't someone that should be a $2 favorite. Now, where I do have thoughts in this game is, like, let's go back to yesterday first. The Padres had that great outburst over the weekend against the Diamondbacks where they scored like 23 runs in 2 games. But, the games before that against the A's, the offense was horrific. And now so far in this series, I think they've been a little bit fortunate. Like, they tacked on 3 runs on Monday. And then yesterday, they were down 1-0 in the 5th inning. They get a ground ball to Soderstrom at first, makes a great play, and J.P. Sears didn't cover the bag. And it turned an out into a run-scoring play. The base runner was able to score from second base in that game. Really, the Padres' only rally of the game. They end up winning on a walk-off solo shot. So it's not like they're just destroying the ball right now, aside from Fernando Tatis, of course, who now has a 17-game hit streak, and he's hitting 400 on that 17-game hit streak. Problem here is he's facing a lefty. He struggles against lefties. 224 batting average against lefties this year. And now you might be without Jurickson Profar, who did something to his knee in last night's game. He tweaked it in some way. He kind of, I think it was on a swing and miss where he just kind of like went down and then eventually came out of the game. So I got to imagine that the Padres might want to rest him, in a day game here, especially with the manager noting that it's been something he's kind of battled all season. So you could have your best hitter, Tatis, against a lefty who he's, struggled against, and arguably your second best hitter, because Profar's been awesome, out for the day. So that's got to like water down the Padres a little bit. So for that reason, I think A's plus 1.5 is in play here, because you get the road team and you get the free run. I also could see the under coming in again for the third time this series. Again, 8, I think it was 8. Prez, you might have mentioned it might be down to 7.5. These guys haven't scored more than 7 runs in this series, and it's deceiving both times. Monday night, it's a 3-1 game late. The Padres tack on 3 more. It's a 6-1 final. Last night, I mean, you take away that 5th inning, who knows if it gets to 7, and then, of course, it gets to 7 when it's 3-3, and then the Padres walk it off. So the A's just don't hit. I mean, this is a team the last 30 days, not only are they by far the worst offensive team in the league, they're averaging less than 3 runs. They're the only team in baseball in the last month averaging less than 3 runs. Last 9 games, they're averaging less than 2 runs, 1.8 runs per game. Team just doesn't hit, and they haven't hit all season. They will hit the ball to the ballpark. That's like the only way they generate offense. And Petco's not exactly a home or haven, if you will. It's not like a bandbox like some of these other parks are. So I don't see, Hogan Harris isn't someone I really love either, but he did fire 6 shutout innings last week against the against the Blue Jays. I'd be shocked if this gets to 8 today, so I lean toward the under. But for me, my gut's telling me the better play here is A's plus 1.5, and they might steal the finale in this series.
So I'm seeing, looking at the WagerTalk Live odds screen, you can get plus 1.5 at plus 175. You can do a little better than that if you shop around. When you're talking about looking at plus 1.5 with Oakland, you can get, you're laying 25, 30, 35 cents.
Yeah.
To ask the A's to win, you're getting that big plus price. So it's about 100 cents worth of difference. Do you think the plus 1.5 merits that big of an adjustment, 100 cents worth of difference, or is this a spot that maybe you take them on the money line instead of plus the runs?
Teddy, I definitely I agree with what you're saying there, and I think like if you're doing the math here, like I think the money line is probably the better bet, because if you look at what the A's have done this year, when they win games, they almost always play from ahead. They're almost, if you go back through the A's, what have they won, 26 games this season so far? Almost every single one, they're playing with a lead. And that's really the A's formula for winning a game. It's get a good start out of your starter and get the ball to Mason Miller. And Mason Miller hasn't pitched yet, or he didn't pitch yesterday. And he really hasn't pitched a ton since the weekend. So I actually think I would agree with you. Like the better math play here is probably just take the money line, because chances are, if the A's are going to win this game, they're going to play from ahead, and they're going to have to hold like a 1-run lead. That being said, I love my plus 1.5s, and especially when I'm getting the road team and I feel like I'm getting the extra at bat, it's worth it. But the reason I laid off from making a client play is it was a little too juiced up at minus 130. So yeah, or you can split them, like Dave Koken always used to preach, just split them. Play half on the money line, half on the run line. You make yourself a little +1, best of both worlds. So yeah, either way, I'm okay with it.
Adam Trigger joining us, everyone. Still lots of show coming up. We've got an unbelievable contest that will be happening. I'll talk to you about it right after Teddy's What Did Bettors Learn, and it is to do with our good friend Tokyo Brandon. We also have Jesse Schule still with us, and Nick Borrman to talk U.S. Open. Adam Trigger, what do you have to promote?
Yeah, so hopefully we get the Brewers during the day, but tonight I have a 5% MLB play. It'll be my first one of the month of June. Like I said, baseball's been great, 12-2 in my last 14 baseball plays. Hopefully 13-2, because the Brewers is a 2 p.m. Eastern game. 5% play goes later tonight. That's up on my page now, wt.buzz/AT. And of course, all the great specials for the month of June. I think that 7 days, $77 one still up for all handicappers. So check that out as well.
Excellent stuff. Thanks for joining us, Adam. Keep winning, brother. 12-2 baseball run. Outstanding work from Adam Trigger. Teddy, I got lots to talk about. We're going to I'm going to talk about my plays tonight. We'll go to your WBL, and then we're coming back to my competition that we've got lined up. Guys, if you're going to play the NBA game tonight, I'll make this real easy. I am the person to play. Period. End of story. I'll give you guys perspective of what's going on here. In my NBA, I'm on an 18-5 run. That's absolutely phenomenal. 18 wins, 5 losses. I'm up over 46 units of profit in the NBA playoffs. And I'm on a 12-1 and 20-4 4% run. My NBA is a 4% play tonight. This is a big play, a rare play for me. So please take advantage of that. But better than that, I have a 5% up for tomorrow already. We got a great promo running over at WagerTalk. 7-day all access for only $77. Use that promo instead of getting my plays, and you get both my 4% NBA tonight, my 5% NHL tomorrow, plus all my baseball bets for 7 days. Please take advantage of that. Teddy covers. What did bettors learn?
Let's talk about Kristaps Porzingis today, because watching the markets move off the Porzingis injury has been interesting, to say the least. Let's start with what the injury is. What his quote is: it's kind of a random situation. I felt something, and now I have to deal with it. Yeah, it's going to be day to day. This is a quote from yesterday, and I'll see how I am tomorrow. The official injury is a torn medial retinaculum, allowing dislocation of the posterior tibialis tendon in his left leg, in case you were wondering. And of course, the line jumped immediately with the Porzingis news. The Mavs were 1.5, 2-point favorites, and immediately moved to 2.5. And there were sharp books like Circa, some in the global markets as well, moved to -3 to get ahead of the potential Porzingis absence. And the line settled in at 2.5. At most books, there are still some 3s out there for today. We didn't see the total move last night. We're likely to see it. We're seeing it move now with the Porzingis injury. I'll talk about that in just a minute. So how much is he actually worth? And of course, we could see more money for Dallas if Porzingis is actually ruled out. Right now, he's still questionable. The markets are acting like they don't think he's going to play. So how much is he worth? The Celtics are 12-2 straight up without him this postseason. They're 6-0 straight up on the road without Porzingis in the lineup, which makes him a non-factor to the point spread, right? Not so fast, my friends. Not in this series and not in this game. Let's start with that. He's been impactful in the series. He's played 23 and 21 minutes over the 2 games, 12 of 22 shooting, 6 of 6 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 5 blocks. And that's the key, the 5 blocks. Al Horford, Luke Cornett, they're not the same kind of rim protectors. Dallas lives and dies by creating off the dribble. They have great passers and creators. Without Porzingis' shot blocking threat, it's a whole different story for Luka and Kyrie. Mavs haven't hit 3-pointers the first 2 games. Does that change here if the defense has to collapse into the paint? Hell yeah, it does. And then we have the situation. Dallas is down 0-2. All right, it's put up or shut up time. Kyrie won a championship this way in Cleveland. They were down 0-2 returning home. So there's a calmness there that you don't see from any other teams. So in this game, in this series, I think Porzingis is worth more than a point. Potentially way more than a point. And of course, Lawrence promoed. I'm going to promo. I got a 4% tonight.
Yeah.
I'm 2-0 in the finals, both right side. Celtics game 1, under game 2. I'm on a 78% playoff run. And since 2022, I've hit 58%, counting every play every day in the NBA, up more than 221 units. Use promo code NBA10 and get $10 off my play tonight, or use it for my all access pass as well. Promo code NBA10. You can get the single play, or you can get the all access for Wednesday. Take $10 off. Value priced from a hot NBA capper and a proven NBA profit producer. Prez, back to you, my friend.
Dude, I love it. Our plays are not the same. They're not against each other. I'm cheering for you, my brother. And you really are one of the best NBA experts on the planet. So, yeah, dude, you should always promo, especially when you're hot and especially in your best sport, which I think is NBA and the month of September in NFL, which is like Lionel Messi, Michael Jordan good. So, yeah, Teddy, promo away, baby. NBA 10 for Teddy's 4% play, and you get $10 off. Okay, so yesterday we had Tokyo Brandon on the show, and look, nobody warned me. He just appeared in this outfit, and a bunch of guys, and I made fun of his outfit. I don't feel bad about it. But a lot of guys in the chat room, and especially in the comment section, spoke about how good Tokyo Brandon's new look is and how good he looks and how much they like his new look. So with that in mind, if anybody can duplicate or improve on Tokyo Brandon's look, there it is, right there for you. If you can wear that look and you tweet out and you include me, Tokyo Brandon, and Wager Talk, there it all is, at Prez Wager Talk, at JP Baseball TV, and at Wager Talk. You tweet out that look, you get 1 free week to the best. Whoever I pick, whoever is the best Tokyo Brandon look will get 1 free week, full all access to Tokyo Brandon's plays. And to put that in perspective, that's likely a $500 to $1,000 reward, because Tokyo Brandon's our number 1 baseball expert this year. He's our number 1 expert overall this year. He is as good as it gets in baseball. So guys, put your money where your mouth is. You all said Brandon's look was incredible. Show us. Show us your Brandon look on Twitter, and you get 1 week free of Tokyo Brandon. Well, the one who looks, from my perspective, the stupidest, but the most like Tokyo Brandon. Teddy, that goes for you too, bro. You put that look up on Twitter, I'll include, you know what, Teddy? I'll give you 1 week all access to Tokyo Brandon just for putting the look up. You don't even need to compete.
I appreciate that. Let's bring in Jesse Schule, see what he thinks. Jesse, welcome to the program.
How are you?
I have to ask me twice. I love to play dress up, and I'm looking forward to the challenge of outdoing Tokyo Brandon. I was on a show with him on Last Call on Friday with Joe Ranieri, and when they brought him in that costume, I had to run quickly and put on my getup, and I know it's not quite up to par with Brandon's, but I have an unfair advantage. I live in Thailand. I can go to the tailor shop and get something tailor-made, very affordable, and I'm probably going to do that.
Listen, Jesse, I'm excited, man. Let's see your look. You got the bowler going, so it's not like you're not familiar with hats. Julio Robles writes, Prez is the most miserable person in the world. Are you watching this show? Teddy is on this show. Maybe he thinks you're the Prez, Teddy. Got Julio.
No, we're clearly labeled.
I am not Teddy. I'm the Prez. That guy is Teddy. The most
Obviously,
miserable
Julio
person in
didn't hear
the
you singing
world.
Material World in the green room.
Oh yeah, I am in a material world. Do I look miserable to you, Jesse?
Not at all, Prez.
Oh, shut up, Dan. Jesse Schule, we got some big news. We're going to get to it right after we do the NBA game. Let's go with that one first. You've got a bet for us on tonight's NBA matchup. Tell us what it is.
Man, Teddy is a tough act to follow. I was really impressed with that injury diagnosis of Kristaps Porzingis. He was spitting out some words there that I've never heard before, and I can't say I'm familiar with that terminology. But I agree with what Teddy was saying. I think the Porzingis injury is going to lead to more scoring for the Dallas Mavericks. And I'm going to look at the Mavs team total sitting at 56. I will point out that Dallas was just 6 of 26 from beyond the arc in game 2. That's just 23%. They were 16 of 24 from the free throw line, 66.7%. They still scored 51 points in the first half of that game. Now they're back home, and you guys are probably aware that home favorites down 0-2 in a playoff series since 2003 are 34-10 straight up in the first half when coming off back-to-back losses, failing to score 100 points. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it's in everybody's best interest, including the league, that this series get extended. I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm just saying the refs might be giving the Mavs a few more favorable calls on 50-50 decisions. I will point out that the Celtics gave up 69 points in the first half of the Eastern Conference Final Game 3 against the Pacers. Dallas scored 60 points in Game 3 at home against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who were the number 1 defensive team in the NBA this season. So the play is on the Dallas Mavericks, over 56 points for their team total in the first half of Game 3.
So far in this series, there have been 8 quarters, and Dallas has scored more than 25 of those points in one of those 8 quarters. That was the first quarter of Game 2. It's been a problem for them offensively. Now, we talked about the three-point shooting for the Mavs. Ice cold Game 1, ice cold Game 2. Prior to the series, we were talking about how Boston defends the corner three. There was this matchup of Dallas shoots the corner threes really well, and Boston defends the corner threes really well. Number 1 in the league at defending the corner threes. And that's, I think a piece of the puzzle why the Mavs have been so cold from three-point range. It's the Celtics defense. Is Dallas going to do anything to solve Boston defensively? Because it's been a Mavericks offense that just hasn't worked in this series. What can they change for tonight to get them up and over this first half total?
Well, Teddy, I'd like to get Dan to play back the tape when you said, does Kristaps Porzingis injury change anything? Are they gonna get more opportunities at the rim? Hell yeah, you said, right? Am I quoting you correctly? Hell yeah.
Close enough.
So I think that if Porzingis isn't 100%, that opens up more offensive opportunities. The fact that they're playing at home in front of the home crowd, the fact that they may get to the free throw line more in this game than previous 2 games. Yeah, I mean, and you just don't see teams shoot 23% from beyond the arc repeatedly over and over. Eventually, they start to go in. And yeah, a home game in a Game 3 with everything on the line, I think they get it done tonight.
Jesse Schule joining us. Jesse, before we look at the New York Yankees-Kansas City game, guys, Jesse Schule is moving over to WagerTalk full-time. We have signed a deal with him. He's going to be an exclusive handicapper over at WagerTalk. And man, I got so many questions. Most of them, almost all, I cannot ask on air. But you had to call all the sites that you were on to tell them that you are now exclusive to WagerTalk. You don't need to discuss it, but I'm sure that was not a lot of fun.
No, and it was last night, and I didn't get a lot of sleep because of it. I'll tell you what, 2 calls the last 2 days, both lasting 4+ hours, both running the battery dead on my phone. So yeah, there was a lot to discuss, but I think I did the right thing. I'm excited about the move. And I think that everybody understands that. I think everybody understands I'm landing in the right place. And I don't think there's any hard feelings from any of the other sites.
Yeah, well, and I want to say something to all those other sites. Look, we love you guys, and we're not sitting here trying to take your staff. We're trying to build a business. We're trying to find the best handicappers that we can find and offer them to our clients. And I think that goes with every business. That's why headhunters exist. That's why recruitment guys have jobs. It is our responsibility to find the best handicappers we can and offer them to our clients, regardless of whether they have a job or they don't have a job. There's certainly no hard feelings on our end. But Jesse, we are really, really excited to have you exclusive with us. Congratulations. And like Steve Merrill and Dave Koken and Brian Leonard and Gianni is now exclusive to Wager Talk, lifetime contract signed yesterday. All of these guys are not looking back, my brother. Every one of them to a man. Ben Burns, top 5 most sold handicapper in the last decade, exclusive to Wager Talk. None of them are regretting that
Why don't
decision.
you ask me who I did that too, Lawrence. Remember, I was on other sites, and now I'm exclusive to Wager Talk. Jesse, I'm not upset with it. It's the right move to make. This is the best. Look, it's the best for the clients. It's the best user experience for the clients, and it's the best for the cappers because we all work with people that we trust and we work with people that we respect, and that makes a whole lot of difference in this industry because there's lots of guys you don't trust and lots of guys you don't respect. That's not the case at WagerTalk.com. Let's talk about the Yankees and the Royals now. What do you say?
All right. Well, it's not exactly a high-profile pitching matchup. Not exactly household names getting the start here for either team. You got Cody Poteet, 29-year-old guy that spent the better part of the last decade in the minors. He's had 3 starts so far this year, and he's been good. He's got a 2-0 record with a 1.72 ERA, but he's in a tough spot here in Kansas City. The weather is calling for 88 degrees with double-digit winds blowing out. In this park, that could be a disaster for a 29-year-old who's spent the majority of his career in the minors. But he looks like he's in better shape than the guy going for the Royals, Dan Altavilla, 31 years old. He's only pitched 1 inning in the majors so far this season. He's got 117 innings in the majors under his belt. I believe all of those were coming out of the bullpen. And he hasn't had a ton of success. At 31 years old, he spent at least a decade in the minors. I think that the Royals might be sending him out here as sort of a sacrificial lamb. It's expected to be the total sitting at 10.5, obviously a high number. It's high for a reason. The Yankees scored a touchdown and a field goal yesterday, and I think they're probably going to go to town again today. You got the number 2 ranked New York offense and the number 5 ranked Kansas City offense. You got a ballpark, the Kansas City ballpark, ranked number 3 as far as park factor goes at Baseball Savant, behind Fenway Park and Coors Field. And with the weather conditions being as they are today, with the fact that you got 2 guys that don't have a ton of major league experience, I think we will see runs scored in this game, so I feel comfortable going over the 10.5.
Jesse Schule, no follow-up.
Numbers on the scoreboard as the Yankees play the Royals. 10.5 prevailing number. Jesse Schule says, take the over. Jess, what do you have to promote today for your clients at the website?
Got a 5% play over at sportsmemo.com. I am 16-4, 80% with my last 25% plays in all sports. Look forward to another 5% play coming up perhaps next week with Major League Baseball because we're 100% perfect, 11-0 with our last 11 baseball 5% plays.
Teddy, you wrote,
Prez?
I'll just
Lawrence?
close him. Yeah, you wrote, I'll just close him 3 times. 3 times.
Yes, because as I was closing him, you were starting to talk again over the person who was talking. So I was trying to
Teddy, I'm so bad. Next time you might want to let me know ahead of time that you're going to do it. It's not my problem.
That's why
that
I
you
sent it
typed
a minute or two. I cut and pasted after I did that to send it again.
Oh,
you guys,
Theodore.
the Slack channel's
Just
hilarious.
shut up, Teddy. Please, please, please don't start with me tonight. We both have big NBA bets going. Let's have no negativity. Jesse Schule, can't thank you enough for joining us on the show and for being part of the Wager Talk family. Kick ass, my friend. Teddy, what a week, bro. Last week, we signed Ross Benjamin exclusive to Wager Talk. Yesterday, we signed Gianni Ace, a lifetime contract with Wager Talk. We also signed Jesse Schule yesterday. We are just getting bigger and better and stronger every single day. Shout out to corporate office, Rick Alec, Johnny Detroit, and the team. What an outstanding job they are doing. Okay, Theodore, it's time for your big game breakdown.
Absolutely. Big game breakdown. This is a client play for Wednesday. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates and the St. Louis Cardinals. The Pirates, they're playing their best baseball of the season. They started the season 9-2. So since that 9-2 open, all right, Pirates have series wins against the Dodgers, the Twins, the Braves. It's not just bad teams. They're beating good teams of late. They got no hit for the first 6 innings last night. They were shut out to the 9th, and they won the game without extra innings. All right, yes, last night they were shut down. Prior to that, they pounded out 29 runs over the last game from the 5 games. They pounded out 25 runs their last 4 road games. The Pittsburgh Pirates are sitting in second place right now, a team that is making their backers money. St. Louis hasn't won a series in June. All right, they're 15-15 at Busch Stadium this season. They went 35-46 at home last year. This isn't a team with any discernible home field edge. And then we got the starting pitching matchup here. Bradley Falter got bombed last time out against the Dodgers. You read the quotes after the game, Derek Shelton. In the first inning, he just missed too many balls down the middle of the plate. He did bounce back and readjusted his sight. His last 2 road starts at the Cubs, at the Blue Jays, Falter, 13.2 innings of work, 0 runs, 5 hits allowed. I think he's primed to bounce back off a bad showing against the Dodgers last time out. Certainly St. Louis is not the Dodgers when it comes to lineups. On the other side, Sonny Gray's not right. All right? He's lost his last 2 starts, and Sonny Gray is a rhythm pitcher. When he's rolling, you bet him again and again. When he's not, you fade him again and again. His last 2 starts, he struggled with his control. He's not eating up innings. He's not throwing strikes. His quote, this is the guy who's what, a $1.80 favorite today? Quote, I'm trending in the wrong direction. I've got to come up with a plan to get back on track. Off the top of my head, I feel like I've got to go back to the basics. That's not a bet on quote. He doesn't have a good track record against Pittsburgh. Live dog here. Give me the Pirates at the plus price. And again, just to repeat, NBA 10. Take $10 off my NBA package or my all access pass for tonight. Promo code NBA 10 at checkout. 2-0 here in the finals. 7-2, 78% NBA run here in the postseason. Lawrence?
Teddy covers. Nick Borrman will be joining us in a second. Shout out to Sam, Justin, Anthony, Neil, Edward, Victor, David, Hussein, and on and on. You guys all purchased my 4% play in NBA tonight already today. Lots of love. Let's win tonight. No promo code. Try Teddy's promo code on my package. It might work. Anyway, definitely play Teddy and me in NBA tonight. We're not on the same play. It is a totally different play. Again, quick reminder, if you guys want 1 free week, all access to Tokyo Brandon, all you have to do is dress like a pimp and tweet it out. Tweet me, tweet Tokyo, tweet WagerTalk. The person who looks most like that guy. Now, you got to remember, I need a hat. I need female glasses. I need a Navajo Cherokee necklace and the most ridiculous shirt I've ever seen. Cover those 4 things. The winner gets 1 week all access to Tokyo Brandon. Teddy covers. Let's bring Nick Borrman in and get on with some U.S. Open. Nick, you got a fedora?
I do not have a fedora, but I am on my way to the store right after we get off air here, so I can win that contest because I definitely want Tokyo Brandon's baseball plays. They are gold.
They are. It's actually insane, and there's a reason for that, Nick. I'm glad he's been a scout for MLB baseball his whole life. Like, he lives, sleeps, and eats this stuff. He literally lives in Asia for 2 reasons. One, as we heard yesterday, the females like those outfits there. And 2, he scouts Asian baseball players. Let's talk some U.S. Open. Look, let's start right off the bat. And I know you've got a couple of bets for us, but let's just talk Scheffler for a second. We haven't seen this since Tiger Woods was in his prime. It's basically him against the field. How do you bet somebody like Scottie Scheffler in this situation?
It's difficult, obviously. I mean, outright markets are known for things. You're trying to win 50-1 shots, and you win every couple months. At 3-1, which he is this week, it's like either bet Scottie and you just don't touch anything else, or you try to get everywhere else. What if you want to get money on Scottie? Andy and I were discussing this on Tea Time, which we posted, and that's up on the WagerTalk YouTube page. Is kind of it's round stuff. It's things like FanDuel, DraftKings are both good at putting up scores for the next day. You know, looking at, for example, last Sunday, the Memorial, he goes in with a 4-shot lead. Well, they post a round 4 score of him to shoot 2 under par. Will he do that or not? And at that point, you know, he easily could have, but does he need to with that kind of a lead? No. So that was an opportunity to perhaps take the over. But even on a matchup, I mean, he's over -200 against the next best in the field. He's -215 this week in a head-to-head matchup against Xander Schauffele, who's the number 2 favorite. So even that is becoming more and more difficult to do. So unless you're willing to lay some juice, you got to look for these round opportunities and maybe try to figure out, you know, from situational standpoints, is the opportunity to shoot high or low going to be there, or maybe daily round matchups for that same avenue. And to bet everybody else, you got to bet the without Scottie Scheffler market, because I had Morikawa last week. Nothing worse than having the best guy in the field other than Scottie Scheffler not cashing because Scottie is doing his stuff. So it's tough, though.
So Scottie Scheffler, difficult to bet right now, whether you want to bet on him or against him. The betting markets don't make it easy for you. Bryson DeChambeau, however, is someone you think is easier to bet this time around. You're fresh off a 4-0 golf sweep last weekend in the Memorial. Talk about DeChambeau and what bets we might make with him in the U.S. Open this weekend.
Sure. Well, it's kind of a running joke that the live guys are, you know, starting to struggle more and more when they get back in the major stage. I know last year Brooks Koepka ended up winning one, but DeChambeau seems to be the one that this move to the other tour, while everybody else seems to be kind of, you know, jokingly working less on their game. He's the one that's going the opposite with it. He's kind of winning the fans back over. He's saying all the right things. His game looks the part. He finished tied for 6th in the Masters and runner-up at the last major at the PGA, and had a chance to win them both. And he's got the game. This is deep dive to get into some data here on how this course plays, but he's got the game and the skill set to play well here. And I'm looking at him in the markets. You could take him on the outright. You could take him on a top 20, whatever. But for the top live golfer, really, we're talking about beating Brooks, who hasn't played. He hasn't broken into the top 25 of the last 2 majors. Rahm withdrew. That was the other biggest competition he had, and then it kind of falls off pretty quickly from there. So he's head and shoulders, I think, above the group that is the LIV golfers. I think there's 12 of them in the field. So at 3-1 in the money, I think it's great value. Listen, we know he hits it a mile, right? That's always going to help. The course is long and 7,500 yards. The last time the U.S. Open was at Pinehurst, 2014. You can't really look at anybody individual results. It doesn't matter 10 years ago, but the field and how that tournament played in general is interesting to note. So the field averaged 70% fairways hit at that tournament, which, to put that into context, there's 12 people on the PGA Tour that average 70% fairways hit. 12, that's it. The entire field averaged it that week. That tells you how easy it is to hit the fairways here, because they're wide and they don't have rough, which is odd for the U.S. Open. It's runoffs into sandy waste areas. What makes this course difficult, Donald Ross's famous turtleback design greens that are basically designed to just repel balls off of the putting green when you hit them. So the field averaged 70% fairways hit, but only 56% greens in regulation. So that tells you someone, the best players in the world are still sitting in the fairway and they still can't hold the green. I think that's exactly where DeChambeau's skill set can help him. So his length is going to get him shorter clubs into those greens, right? While somebody else might be hitting a 5 or 6, he might be hitting a 7 or 8 or 9, right? That's a higher ball flight. That's a softer landing. That's more spin. That'll hold the green better. He also leads. He's number 1 across all tours as far as what they measure apex, which obviously baseball, bettors will know, is the height of your golf shot. the higher the ball, the softer it's going to land. The more straight down it's going to hit these greens. He's number one in golf as far as hitting the ball high. So not only is he going to hit a shorter club, he's going to hit it higher than everybody else. It's just a all good way to say he's got a better chance for those reasons to hang on to greens in regulation. And if you can do that, you're trying to rely on your short game a little bit less, 2 times every day, 4 rounds. I mean, that's a lot adds up over the course of the tournament, and that could be the difference for him come the end. And of course, I said he's been playing well in the last couple majors. So I like the way he's playing, and I like his skill sets for getting the ball high, landing it soft. I think he can beat Brooks Koepka. Again, John Rahm's gone, and the other list is just not that impressive. So he can still finish top 25th this week, and we could cash this bet at better than 3-1. So I think it's a great bet this week.
DeChambeau, bet on golfer at the U.S. Open this weekend. Nick Borrman says take him to be the top live golfer, plus 320 available right now. Let's talk about Sungjae as someone who you're looking at as a top 20 finish. And obviously, we're talking about golf betting. It's nice to pick out the winners. But the reality is the bread and butter is top 10, top 20 matchups, this type of thing. Here's a top 20 finish. Talk about why we like him.
Yes, Sungjae is kind of – I look at him and he's on the comeback trail. He had a very pedestrian start for him this season. He opened with a tie for 5th at the Century, the first event in 2024. And then he was in a funk, which he finished in the top 20 just one time over his next 10 starts. I wasn't even aware at the time, but turns out he was dealing with an injury, and most people were unaware about that. And the results clearly showed that. Now, though, since he's been fully recovered, he's got 5 top 12 finishes in his last 6 starts. He won in Korea. Then he finished tied for 4th at the Wells Fargo, which is a signature event. Tied for 9 3 weeks ago at the Charles Schwab, and then tied for 8 last week at the Memorial, which best correlates to how difficult Pinehurst is going to play, because there was only 11 people under par at the end of last week, and he was one of them. And what's most impressive to me about how Sungjae, played last week matters a lot in the warm up to a U.S. Open. It's a very difficult golf course. You want to see, guys and how they kind of grind it out through 4 rounds because it's tough conditions, right? He started off horribly. He shot 4 over par around a 76 in round 1. I mean, he was way outside and, at that time sitting outside the cut line. He battled back to finish 1 under for the tournament, one of only 12 players, like I said, to finish under par for the week. And that's extremely hard to do, to come back like that on a difficult venue. And in fact, if you look at the last 54 holes, he actually was the leader. He had the lowest 54-hole score, 5 under par on rounds 2, 3, and 4 of anybody in the field. He beat Scheffler. He beat Morikawa, who finished 1st and 2nd in the tournament. So, yeah, one bad round can screw up any bet on any given week. And I did take him last week for a top 20. It was paying a little bit less. This is now at plus 275. I think he's got the grit. I think he's got the skills. He's always been great off the tee. His iron game looks very, very sharp now over these last 2 months. And his short game is always steady. And that's going to be, again, very crucial this week with the amount of greens these guys are likely to miss and have to deal with short wet shots to try to go up and down. So I think he can just grind it out and make pars with the best of them. And I really liked how he kind of regrouped last week after a horrible start. So I would never count Sungjae out with a bad round. And I'm hoping that will get us to the window for a top 20 ticket at plus 275 this week.
Wonderful stuff. Nick Borrman, everyone, a scratch golfer himself, a golf pro in New Jersey. If you guys want some lessons, he does that during the day. Also, 4-0 sweep last week at the Memorial. Congratulations on that, Nick. What do you have to promote?
This week, it's obviously the U.S. Open. Pack is available now. It includes a 5% bet, and there's a couple different, there's 2 matchups in there, the 5% leaderboard bet and another long shot leaderboard bet, small play, but 4 total plays going on right now available there. And of course, MLS is also in full swing. Number 1 again this year, going for 6 straight winning seasons, up over 30 units already. And Saturday's card will be up as of Wednesday night, so you can look for that in a few hours' time.
Nick Borrman, everyone. Thanks, brother. Guys, tomorrow's show, Carmine will be joining us. We're going to dip our toe into some Euro 2024 talk. So if you like soccer betting, make sure to tune in for that. Again, let's all have some fun. Put up a picture of yourself looking like Tokyo Brandon. Tweet out to the three of us. You get 1 week free all access. It should be a blast. Teddy covers. Really fun show. Kick ass tonight in your NBA pick. I'm cheering for you, my friend. Take us home.
And vice versa, Lawrence. And for you guys in the audience as well, we're cheering for you each and every day. Please join us again tomorrow, same time, same channel, for another edition of Wager Talk Today. Between now and then, enjoy the games and best of luck with all your bets. Cheers.